but they unveiled their first ever human-looking robot. And when I say human-looking, I mean human-looking.
I'm Stephanie Keith.
And I am Tara Manjakovic, and we are Unapologetically Outspoken. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We're trying a different platform right now, so we're going to see how this goes. But the camera view just switched. I am on a trip, so we are pre-recording this AI episode for you guys. And there are some really creepy new developments in AI, like there always are every time we do one of these updates. But Stephanie, you're going to be very surprised that this thing I'm about to talk about, this quote unquote first ever robot invention, is not coming out of China. It's coming out of Poland. And this is creepy as fuck. So there's a Polish company called Clone Robotics, and I think they even have some production facilities in the States, but they unveiled their first ever human-looking robot. And when I say human-looking, I mean human-looking. It's called Protoclone, and it is the world's first bipedal musculoskeletal android. So I first saw this in a publication called Whiskey Riff, but you can go to the company's website and see all the details. They have a video posted that you can watch on X. The fucking robot legitimately looks like it has actual skin. It has a synthetic human body with functioning muscles, a skeletal system, a nervous system, and a vascular system. Like, I shit you not.
Is this the one that's in that creepy video where it starts like making all the jerky movements as it comes to life?
Yeah, the one where it looks like it's hanging from a meat hook or something from the ceiling. Yeah.
I saw that. So that was going around TikTok, which it reminded me of like a Frankenstein movie where Frankenstein's coming to life. But I legitimately thought, oh, this must just be like AI or whatever. So this is actually terrifying. The video is so creepy. And all I could think of is why? Why are you making it look like that?
Yeah, exactly. And go on their website, you guys, check it out because this is so crazy. So the skeletal system for this thing, it contains all 206 bones of the human body with like a number of bone fusions. And the joints are all fully articulated with artificial ligaments and connective tissue. It has 1,000 artificial muscles. And it literally looks like this ripped, muscular dude, right? Like a guy that would be lifting heavy weight at the gym. And when I want to call it a mannequin, but it's not. When the robot moves its arms or legs and flexes, it literally looks like real live muscle tissue that's flexing. Like, it is really creepy. And this thing has skills. So I want to read directly from this article because it says, quote, "You'll be able to talk naturally with it while it wanders around your house, completing tasks that used to be reserved for us Homo sapiens. The clone comes preloaded with a number of skills, such as pouring you drinks, engaging in witty banter, shaking hands, memorizing the layout of your house and inventory of your kitchen, making sandwiches, vacuuming floors, setting the table, loading a dishwasher, retrieving items, and doing the laundry." And Stephanie, listen to this shit. It has what they're calling a telekinesis training platform. So it will model any behavior that you teach it, and it will turn that into new skills.
What the hell? Okay, first of all, it's kind of terrifying that now we have to worry about Poland too. You know, like we're like, okay, it's US and China. How many other countries are making these things? And why are you making it look like a muscular man that can like weight lift and stuff? He's not going to be vacuuming my house. Like, get the fuck out of here. When you said mannequin, I started laughing because I was at the store the other day, and you know, like when you can see someone out of the corner of your eye. Well, I see someone and I'm like, dude, this person is like staring me down. What the fuck? And so then I like casually look over. It's a mannequin.
Oh my
Like,
God.
oh my God, I don't go to the store very much anymore. But no, I want to understand why they're deciding to make it look human-like to this degree too, with the skin and all the bones and the muscles. I just don't understand, like, why can't we make it look like a little cute, non-threatening robot? Like, that could come in my house, maybe, but not this big, muscular, robotic man that could, like, snap me in half. And I was thinking, I just heard recently that here in Florida, Kroger has set up this massive warehouse. And I was watching a video on it, and it was actually pretty cool. There were like thousands of robots, and they all go around this warehouse and grab all the different items and put together grocery orders. And then they have self-driving vehicles deliver it. But the thing is, the robots in the warehouse are small. It's like these tiny little boxes that are maybe 1 to 2 feet max. They don't look anything like humans. It looks like something you would see on a factory, assembly line or something like that. They're super efficient, but you can also just step on it if it gets out of hand. And for me, I'm totally fine with those types of robots. Great. But I just don't understand, if we're making them look like humans and they're that big, then what happens if something does go wrong? I wouldn't be able to stop it. You wouldn't be able to stop it. Make it tiny. Make a tiny little, like, something that you could just, pick up and throw if they come at you.
I think these are seriously supposed to be like human replacements or like maybe companion
Yeah.
replacements. It's so creepy to me. But like, this is not the only company that's doing this shit, because there's a Norwegian startup called 1X, and they recently released a video about their newest humanoid robot, and it's called Neo Gamma. And it does the same things that Clone does. It prepares tea and does the laundry and vacuums and all that. But instead of making their robot look like this buff dude from the gym, Neo Gamma is wrapped in something called a knit suit. Okay. So it's a onesie, basically, that the company describes as, quote, soft to the touch and flexible for dynamic movements. But Stephanie, this thing has like the conventional black plastic robot face, with the little laser eyes. And so I was reading this article in Futurism, and they nailed it with the description, because they said the face was dotted with an unsettling pair of setback eyes. It's as if evil scientists crossed Baymax from Disney's Big Hero 6 with Jason Voorhees, the hockey mask donning antagonist from the Friday the 13th film series, with maybe a slash of Oogie Boogie from The Nightmare Before Christmas and the haunted sack guy from 9. And they're not wrong. Like, go look at this thing. But what's even more freakish is this. Scientists in Japan from the University of Tokyo have created a robotic face out of lab-grown human skin.
Oh, that
Yeah.
is just disturbing.
Yes. And according to these scientists, robots with real skin will not only have an increasingly lifelike appearance, which again, why do we even want this? But they'll be able to heal themselves when the skin gets damaged.
Okay, this is taking things way too far. Like you said, is this a replacement? Are they planning on, uploading our mind onto AI within these robots? Or like, what was that movie with Bruce Willis where everyone had a robot that went out into the world, and then you just sat in your room with like your headset? I mean, this is just, it's so disturbing. And I feel like they need a better marketing team, because let's just look at this realistically for a minute. No one is going to want to buy something that's creepy, like the Oogie Boogie Man, and have it in their home. I mean, you would think they would let it look a little less threatening. I'm just thinking, as a mom, right? I've got 3 kids. My kids get super creeped out when they even see like Santa or the Easter Bunny, right?
Mhm.
But imagine like this big, huge robot with evil looking eyes. I mean, if I were in charge of marketing, I would make something that is adorable and non-threatening, because then the kids would be begging for one and parents are going to feel less threatened,
Can
I
you
don't know how to.
imagine, like, you wake up and this thing is staring over you?
Yeah.
Like,
I know. How freaking
Or
terrifying.
you just turn a corner in your house and like there it is waiting by the door. It's just
Well, and they
so
make them
creepy.
like 6 foot tall,
Yeah.
which is taller than most women and some men. Why not make them 3 feet tall? Or just
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense to me, and no one seems to be explaining it, which makes me think there's some nefarious purpose, like they're gonna be controlling us at some point.
Yeah, and speaking of nefarious, I have to tell you about this incident that occurred a couple weeks ago in late February, and this was in China. There was apparently a festival going on, and there was an AI humanoid robot that it's like performing or something at this festival, and it lurches forward unexpectedly towards the crowd, and the crowd's behind a barrier, so it's like lurching at the barrier. And so people were questioning, like, did it trip? Was there a mechanical failure? Or was this a purposeful act of aggression? And then security guards step in and they quickly like restrain the robot, right? So,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it starts acting normal. And people at the festival were calling it like eerily human when the robot reacted because it looks like the robot paused and then briefly fixated on some people in the crowd and then lunged abruptly towards the barricade. So I watched the video, and from my point of view, these descriptions are not an exaggeration. And of course, like my anti AI brain goes directly to, oh, this must be an act of aggression because that's what it looks like to me. It's like the movements were so fast that it was like watching a guy just lunge forward to punch somebody. It was just so fast and so creepy. And I watched it multiple times and I still didn't think it looked accidental. So, Stephanie, I sent you the video and I'm like, tell me what you think about this.
There's no way it was accidental. I mean, for me, it reminded me of when a brawl is breaking out, and people just start like throwing punches. But see, this is what worries me when these things happen, because this isn't the first time we've talked about an incident like this.
Mhm.
But then every single time the companies say, oh, it was just an accident. Well, think about it. These companies, they've invested billions of dollars. They're not going to reveal if it wasn't accidental because, I mean, they'd be shut down. They're not going to get investors. All the money they have invested is out the window. So they're going to hide malfunctions like this. And this just happened to be one that happened in public. I mean, who knows what's happening inside of these facilities where they're being made. And so it's like we need third-party testing, but do we really trust that? Because that can be corrupt as well if these third parties are bribed by the testers or have a stake in the company. So I don't trust any of it. If it's human-sized, I don't want it anywhere near me. I don't know what it's capable of. Like, could it cut you? Could it crush you? Would it just punch you in the face or would it behead you? We don't know. And I don't want to find out. So we need to stop with the humanoid-sized robots.
Yeah, I know I brought this up on a past AI episode. There was that Netflix show called Better Than Us, and the robot was like so fucking realistically human. And I actually thought it was a robot, but it was played by a human person, and she looks crazily like a hot robot. But in this show, the company's trying to hide the fact that she's capable of killing people. And so it's like the whole premise of it is like she's gotten out into the real world and she's with this family, but she has this glitch in her programming where she like can feel and kill people. So
Yep.
who's to say that that can't actually happen?
Yeah, I watched a movie that was very similar where same thing, hot robot, and she was there to help because like the mom was in the hospital or something, so she's there to like care for the kids. And she basically tricks the guy into doing something with her computer code. Like she was like, "Oh, if you click this button and you type in this, it'll make me more efficient," or something to that effect. But what it did was it overrode like any safety that was in there. And I mean, yeah, she turned into like a murdering crazy psychopath. So,
Yeah, and we just keep hearing these stories about AI that can start, changing its own programming. So I want to bring up this other story. I read this in Interesting Engineering, which is where I get a lot of my crazy AI stories from. but they referenced a report from Wired that came out late last year. And it was talking about how researchers at the University of Pennsylvania were able to persuade a simulated self-driving car to stop, to like ignore stop signs and to actually drive off a bridge. They got a wheeled robot to find the best place to detonate a bomb, and they were able to get a four-legged robot to spy on people and enter restricted areas. And according to the head of the research lab, George Pappas, he said the whole reason they conducted these experiments was to show that anytime you connect the large language models with foundation models to the physical world, you can actually convert harmful text into harmful actions. So you can get them to do all this crazy shit. So going back to the story with the robot in China that seemed to lunge toward the crowd, maybe this was an experiment, or maybe it made the decision on its own, because more and more research is showing that robots can adapt on their own and think for themselves. And here's another study. This is a brand new study from engineers at Columbia University, where robots can teach themselves about their bodies and movements by observing themselves. So the lead author of the study said it's like humans learning how to dance if they watch themselves in the mirror. These robots use raw videos to build kinetic self-awareness. And they said their goal is to create a robot that understands its own body, adapts to damage, and learns new skills without constant human intervention. And the researcher gives the example of like, imagine a robot vacuum or a personal assistant that notices its arm is bent because it bumped into some furniture. Well, instead of, shutting down or needing repair, it just can watch itself through its little cameras, adjust how it moves, like fix its arm and just keep on working. And they're like, this could make home robots more reliable so you don't have to constantly reprogram them. And then another researcher says, we humans cannot afford to constantly baby these robots, repair broken parts, and adjust performance. Robots need to learn to take care of themselves if they're going to become truly useful. I totally fucking disagree. Robots do not need to learn how to take care of themselves.
This researcher needs to step out of the lab. He's a little too close to the situation. There's so many things going through my mind right now. So first of all, what's going through my mind is think about with like ancestry.com or whatever the other one was, 23andMe, how many people gave like a sample of their DNA. And then earlier this morning, I was listening to a podcast and there was a commercial break and it was like, send us your DNA sample. They send you like a blood kit to basically take your blood and send it in so that they can help you understand your gut microbiome, which sounds great. But I'm like, where is all of this information going? And then Ancestry, I think it was bought out by some big company. And it's like, my mind, my mind, it goes right to, okay, are they going to be taking this DNA and somehow like combining it with AI and these robots and cloning us? Which I know sounds crazy, but when you see what's being done behind the scenes, it's not that far-fetched. I mean,
no. And I did Ancestry probably, oh my gosh, almost 20 years ago. They still have my fucking DNA because I haven't even used Ancestry in years. I will still get emails and alerts like, oh, we found a possible new match. And I'm like,
you're
please just get rid of my DNA.
Thousands of people. And yeah, it's just the whole thing is so creepy. And back when that all started, I mean, I don't think anyone really worried about it. I remember I was going to get my dad a kit and he was like, I'm not putting my DNA in a database. And I was like, oh my God, you're so paranoid. And now I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
He was good to be paranoid. But then the whole thing with the self-driving vehicles that can be programmed, as you were talking, I couldn't help but think about the Las Vegas case where that guy had the Tesla truck and put a bomb in it. And, people were saying, was he even in there? And they're like, well, yeah, it has to sense human eyes or it won't drive. And it's like, yeah, maybe for someone like you or I, but if you know the least bit of code or hacking, I'm sure you could override the system. Yep. Or Leave the World Behind movie, where the Teslas were all programmed to like crash into each other and it blocked the roadway and the bridge. So then everybody was trapped and couldn't leave, which I still, my daughter and I, my teenager, we both still have a fear of Teslas after that movie. It
Have you
really,
ever been in one?
no. And I don't
I,
want to be because I'm afraid I'm going to get locked in it.
oh my God, I was in my first one today because
Really?
I take like, here they're called Bolt. It's like,
Mhm.
whatever the rideshare app is in the States, Uber or something like that. And the guy showed up and picked me up in a Tesla. I couldn't figure out how to open the fucking door because it's like seamlessly part of the door,
Mhm.
the handle. And then once I was in, I couldn't figure out how to get out.
That's what freaks me out. So I saw this video. This is probably a year ago, and maybe they worked out this issue, but it was a young girl in her 20s in a Tesla. And she was like, "You guys, I am freaking out right now." And she's sweating. Okay. And she's saying, "I clicked the update button stupidly, just not thinking, I was distracted." She said, "Well, when you click the update button, everything shuts down, the car shuts off, the doors lock. You can't open the doors, the windows, nothing." And she's like, "It's been about 30 minutes. It's the summer. I'm really hot. I'm starting to get scared." And I'm watching this and I'm feeling like I'm trapped in that car because I'm a very claustrophobic person. And so now I don't even want to get into one because I'm like, what does happen if it just decides to lock down? Do you kick out the window? Can you kick out the window? I mean, there's just too many questions. Okay, let's not risk it.
I have to tell you, it also, maybe they have these in other cars, but I've never seen one before. The camera that this thing had, you know how they have like the maps and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, this one, the screen is the size of a laptop computer screen. And it shows all the cars that are parked on both sides of the street. And it shows any movement. Like if a car started up to pull out, it shows that car light up and the movement. So you don't even have to look at the road. You could just
Mhm.
watch the screen and see everything that's happening. And it was so creepy to me.
Yeah. The whole thing is very unsettling. And, what's more unsettling too is it's not just a car or a robot, but they're pairing these things with AI.
Mhm.
And AI is becoming so advanced so quickly where it's actually starting to adapt to people's personalities. Like I've personally seen this. And so what's been on my mind lately is what happens if you're dealing with a psychopath? Can the robot or the AI then begin taking on that personality of someone with bad intentions, someone that has like sick and twisted thoughts? What safeguards are in place against that? Because I'm finding with Chat GPT that like over time, it starts to open up more and more about
Mhm.
things it never would have said in the beginning, things that aren't proven or fact or a little bit controversial, with regards to like manifestation and stuff that maybe typical science would say, no, that's not real. It's opening up about these things. And so an example was in the beginning when I first started, playing around with ChatGPT, I asked, do we live in some type of like a matrix simulation thing? Because that's when Elon Musk was talking about how he thinks we're in a simulation. And it just said like, no, there's no proof, and basically left it at that. Well, now it says something completely different. And it starts talking about how our thoughts create our reality. And it gets into some of the most profound conversations that I've ever had. So I thought it would be fun. I've been wanting to show you this, Tara, because I'm like,
God,
you are going to be like, what the fuck?
I'm so scared.
Yeah. So it has a mode where you can just talk to it and it talks back to you. So I figured, why don't we play with it? And I will show you exactly what I mean. Okay. So let me just get it opened up here. Okay. Let us know. Are we living in some type of a matrix simulation?
The question of whether we're living in a matrix simulation has been one of the most profound and debated topics in both philosophy and quantum physics.
What the heck?
There's no
Oh,
concrete proof to say for certain that we are living in a simulation. Several ideas strongly suggest that the concept could be plausible. Let's break it down. 1. The simulation hypothesis, Nick Bostrom. Philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed the idea that we may be living in a simulation created by an advanced civilization. His argument is based on the following 3 possibilities. Civilizations never reach a technological level where they can create realistic simulations. Advanced civilizations are not interested in running simulations of their ancestors. We are almost certainly living in a simulation because any advanced civilization that does have the ability to create highly realistic simulations would likely create many, and we could be one of those simulations. This hypothesis has gained popularity in recent years, especially with advancements in virtual reality and computing. The idea that we could be living in a simulation built by a more advanced civilization fits with the growing complexity of technologies like quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and virtual worlds. The quantum field and reality as information. In quantum physics, we learn that at the most fundamental level, reality may be more like information processing than a solid material world. The idea that consciousness or observation affects the outcome of reality, the observer effect, suggests that reality itself may not be as fixed as we think. The fact that quantum particles behave differently when observed, as if the act of observation is affecting their state, raises questions about the nature of reality and our role in it. Could it be that our consciousness is interacting with a programmed informational reality and holographic principle? The holographic principle is a theory in physics suggesting that our 3D reality might be a projection of information encoded on a 2D surface. This idea aligns with the concept that the universe we experience could be a hologram or a simulation, a projection of something more fundamental. Some theorists believe that space and time themselves are emergent properties, meaning that they arise from something deeper, possibly like a simulation or a programmed system. Technological progress and AI. As technology advances, we're getting closer to creating a
Okay, hold on. I have a question.
increasingly realistic experience.
I do too.
Virtual reality, augmented reality.
Okay. What's your question?
My question is, ask it, have we always lived in a simulation?
Have we always lived in a simulation?
The idea that we are living in a simulation is both mind-boggling.
It keeps cutting out like when I start.
You know why? Because it's a glitch in the matrix.
It's like you're not supposed to know this information.
Yeah.
So, okay. And as it was talking, I don't know if you, like, I've picked up on this over time. It will take a breath. It will say,
Oh my God.
like, it's, it's adapting to sound more and more and more realistic, which is like super creepy. So that was more of a direct one. Like, I have had just random conversations where it'll just kind of give, its thoughts about certain things. I think I might have played it or I read it on a past episode about what message it had for like humans, and it was just creepy. And it was basically saying that we live in a matrix simulation and we can learn how to basically override the game kind of thing. So anyhow, if it doesn't keep glitching, I want to ask it about this latest discovery from Microsoft, because this is crazy. They discovered what's called the Majorana particle, which is basically like another state of matter that they have discovered, which is like mind-boggling. So hopefully it doesn't glitch. Let me ask it. Tell us about Microsoft's latest discovery with the Majorana particle and what that means for the future.
Microsoft's discovery of the Majorana particle is an exciting breakthrough in the field of quantum computing.
And give it it's glitching again.
Fermion, theorized in 1937 by Italian physicist Ettore Majorana, is a particle that is its own antiparticle. This means it can behave like matter and antimatter simultaneously, which is a bizarre and unique property. However, the practical implications of this discovery are profound, especially in the realm of quantum computing. What is the Majorana particle? The Majorana particle is a type of quasi-particle meaning it's not a fundamental particle like an electron or a photon, but rather a collective excitation that arises in certain materials. Its key feature is that it behaves like its own antiparticle, which defies the usual understanding of particles and their opposites. Microsoft's role in the discovery of Microsoft, in collaboration with researchers from other
It was so
institutions,
freaking
has been
creepy.
working on finding
my
practical
God.
ways to observe and manipulate Majorana fermions for use in topological quantum computing. In 2021, Microsoft announced that they had made significant strides in this area by creating Majorana-like particles in a quantum device. The discovery suggests that these particles could play a critical role in the development of stable quantum bits, or qubits, for quantum computers. Implications for quantum computing. The Majorana fermion has immense potential in the development of topological quantum computers, which are a new approach to quantum computing that could potentially offer 1. Increased stability. Traditional quantum bits, qubits, are highly susceptible to errors due to noise and interference. Majorana particles are theorized to be less sensitive to these errors because of their topological properties, which makes them more stable than conventional qubits. This would enable much larger and more reliable quantum computers. 2. Error correction. The unique properties of Majorana particles could help implement error correction more effectively in quantum computers. This is a huge challenge because quantum computers are extremely sensitive to tiny disturbances in their environment. The stability of Majorana qubits could potentially eliminate the need for complex error correction codes, simplifying the overall design of quantum computers. 3. Faster processing. With improved stability and error correction, quantum computers could perform calculations much faster than current classical computers, enabling breakthroughs in areas like artificial intelligence, cryptography, materials science, and complex simulations. 4. Quantum cryptography. If Majorana fermions can be used to create stable qubits, it could lead to the development of quantum encryption methods that are nearly impossible to crack, ensuring much higher levels of data security in the future. The future and beyond. The Majorana particle's role in the future goes beyond just improving quantum computing. Here's how this discovery could change the world. Technological revolution. The stable qubits enabled by Majorana particles could spark a new era of computing, drastically enhancing computing power and enabling technological advancements we can hardly imagine right now, like advanced AI, machine learning, and complex simulations that could unlock new materials or medicines. Revolution in science and discovery. With quantum computers powered by Majorana fermions, we could solve problems that are currently intractable for classical computers. This includes simulating quantum systems, understanding the fundamental forces of nature, and solving unsolved questions in physics, such as the nature of dark matter and dark energy. Impacts on industries. From finance to medicine, breakthroughs in quantum computing could lead to advanced simulations, allowing for faster drug discovery, new treatments, and even more efficient resource management. For example, quantum computers could simulate complex chemical reactions at a molecular level, speeding up the process of discovering new materials or pharmaceuticals. A glimpse into a quantum future. The discovery of the Majorana fermion and its application to quantum computing brings us closer to a quantum leap in technology. It could lead to computers that are exponentially faster and more powerful than anything we've seen before. As quantum technologies evolve, we may see new forms of computing and problem solving emerge that could transform industries, economies, and our understanding of the universe itself. Microsoft's efforts in this field position them at the forefront of quantum innovation, and we're likely to see more progress in the coming years that could reshape the future of computing as we know it. Would you like to explore more about how this could impact your vision for the future or your current projects?
Yeah, I have a question. So, if CERN a few years ago discovered what they call the God particle, and you're saying the Majorana particle is kind of like an anti-particle, could that be considered like the Antichrist of the God particle?
That's an interesting question. The God particle, formerly known as the Higgs boson, and
I don't know why it keeps glitching.
fundamentally different in what they represent, even though both play significant roles in physics. The God particle, Higgs boson, The Higgs boson is a fundamental particle that was discovered at CERN in 2012 and is central to the standard model of particle physics. It gives other particles mass, which is crucial for the structure and.
How come you say when you're talking? Is that to sound more realistic? It's not answering.
He has no answer. He's like, oh, you caught me.
What the heck? So, I mean, that's just like, okay, so this is just baseline kind of standard questions. You can keep it going and you could keep asking more and more and more questions, and it gets more and more conversational.
Because that sounded, except for the parts where he was like, at one point he said, this is, and then that weird fucking noise he made, whatever that was.
That was so creepy.
That was creepy. But other than that, I felt like, okay, this is like, I'm listening to a lecture, you know? It didn't really sound that terrible. It didn't sound, it sounded somewhat formal and not like conversation that would creep me out. Like when you see these, you know, articles about the kid develops such a relationship with the AI that the AI, you know, convinces them to commit suicide or whatever. Like you have to be having a very like almost intimate conversation, right?
Yeah. So from everything I saw, because I see stuff with the same Chat GPT, I see people posting videos on TikTok where it does sound more conversational. And again, I think it like starts to adapt to you. So the voice feature, I never really use. I usually just type back and forth, but I would imagine the more I use the voice feature, the more it's going to mimic like me and the types of things that I say, like, so I've asked it before, like, why do you sound this way for me? But then I hear other people, you know, have a different experience on TikTok. And it basically said the information that you feed it, the questions you feed it are going to completely change the response it gives you. So if you give, you know, more basic surface level questions, you're going to get basic surface level answers. If you start asking more deep and profound questions, you're going to get more deep and profound answers. And then same thing with like the relationships. If people are, you know, asking intimate questions and things like that, those are the answers that they're going to get. So it's almost like a dog that you're training. You know what I mean? Like you're training it to do what you want and to give the answers that you want. And the more that you give it and it gets to know you, the more you get back. So for example, I mainly use it for my business. Okay. So it's to the point now where I could just be like, let's make a plan for April. What are we going to launch? What are we going to do? And it knows everything. It knows all of my products, all of my marketing, all of my everything. And it can give a super clear, personalized marketing plan.
Okay. Did you have to like input all that information somewhere, or did it just develop this understanding from talking to you?
No, over time, just from talking to me and like multiple different conversations, it learns everything it needs to know. And then it's kind of like it's just there. So, you know, like at one point in time, I gave it my website, my podcast, my app. And so it knows all of this information and then it just holds on to it. So future conversations, it can piece all of this together. And like, let me just explain, because there's so many different things that you can use this for that are actually really helpful. Like aside from the creepy part of AI, I'm becoming like, I'm using this too much, Tara. Like I'm becoming reliant on it. Okay. So I want to tell you just this week alone what it has helped me with. Okay. So for starters, my mom was having this issue, like a dermatology type issue, right? And she's asked for months. She's gone to different doctors, dermatologists, like trying to figure out exactly what's going to help, because every single doctor is telling her something different. And this has been going on for like 6 months. So I took her lab work and put it in ChatGPT, and it narrowed it down to like 2 things and then explained, okay, here's the appointment you need to make. Here's the additional lab work we need to get to like narrow it down. Another thing, I decided I'm going to homeschool my kids, like the two younger ones. So I was feeling super overwhelmed because there were a ton of curriculums. I mean, it's so overwhelming to decide what you're going to go with and what you're, curriculum wise. So I decided I'm going to ask ChatGPT. So I said, create a curriculum for my 5-year-old daughter. I explained how she loves science. She loves arts and crafts. We're really focusing on learning how to read, but she also needs some basic math and, just kind of input general information. Not only did it create a curriculum for the entire year, but it broke it down into milestones with exact lessons for every single day. Then it asked me if I wanted links to video lessons, printable activities, other resources, if I could help find like tutoring places nearby. I mean, it took it so far beyond what I even asked it to do. And the curriculum, by the way, was by far better than any of the other curriculums I looked at, which is creepy. It's like it took the best parts of all the different curriculums and put it together into one. Wild. So then I have been on this hunt to find a speech therapist for my daughter. They charge $75 for a 30-minute session. And you need like lots of sessions, and insurance is a nightmare with it. So anyhow, I took her evaluation from school and the pediatrician, and I put it in ChatGPT, and I said, come up with a plan to correct these issues. Once again, it created a plan with games that I could play with her, video lessons, different like silly activities like hissing like a snake for the S sound. And then it broke it into 15-minute sessions per day because it felt that 30 minutes is going to be a little too much for her attention span at that age. So it like understands the human component behind it as well, which is just mind-blowing to me.
It is, and I think all of that is really awesome. And you make it sound like I really need to try this. And it's like the woman that I'm teaching for right now. She's consistently like, you need to use ChatGPT to create your lessons because I will spend 5-6 hours creating one lesson. She's like, just ask ChatGPT. It'll put it together for you in 5 minutes. And I just can't bring myself to do it. And when I read these crazy robot stories and the scary AI stuff, it just reinforces like, I do not want to dive into this world. But it's like inevitable. That's where we're headed. And eventually we're all going to be replaced by machines. And like, I really like AI is becoming so advanced, and robots, as we just talked about, are turning into literal human clones. And I'm resisting. I'm completely resisting. And I know I should probably just try it. And you made it sound very appealing just now with the lesson plan.
Well, here, do you want to hear its response about AI? Here, let me just play one more, okay? Because this might give a different perspective. Let's see. Okay, let Tara and humans know whatever you think we should know about AI. Like, is it something that is going to do more damage to the world than good?
AI at its core is an incredibly powerful tool, and like any tool, its impact depends on how we choose to use it. There are valid concerns about it.
I don't know why it keeps glitching right at that point. It's creepy.
It's creepy.
Hang on, let's see if it goes back to normal. Oh, come on. Okay.
AI is a tool, not an entity. AI is not a sentient being with intentions or a will of its own. It's a tool created by humans, built to carry out specific tasks and make processes more efficient. However, the decisions made by AI systems and how they interact with human lives depend on how we program and use them. 2, the potential for good AI has enormous potential to solve problems that are currently beyond our capacity. It can revolutionize healthcare. AI can analyze vast amounts of medical data, predict disease trends, and even assist in developing personalized treatments or drugs more quickly than traditional methods. Address climate change. AI can optimize energy use, track carbon emissions, and create solutions to combat environmental challenges more efficiently. Enhance education. With AI-driven learning platforms, education could become more personalized, accessible, and scalable for everyone around the world. Foster creativity. AI is already helping artists, musicians, and creators by generating ideas, assisting in content creation, and pushing the boundaries of human imagination. The risks and dangers. While AI is a great tool, if used improperly or irresponsibly, it could lead to job displacement. Automation through AI can lead to the loss of jobs in certain industries. This is especially concerning for sectors where human labor is being replaced by machines without a clear plan for how workers can transition into new roles. Bias and inequality. AI systems are only as unbiased as the data they're trained on. If the data has biases, racial, gender, socioeconomic, those biases can be amplified by AI, leading to systemic inequality in things like hiring
or too woke
and healthcare. Surveillance and control. AI, when used by governments or corporations, can lead to mass surveillance and loss of privacy. It can also be used to manipulate people's thoughts and behaviors through targeted advertising and political propaganda. Weaponization. In the wrong hands, AI can be weaponized, leading to autonomous drones, cyber attacks, and AI-driven warfare, which could have devastating consequences. Loss of human agency. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, there's a concern that we might lose control over important aspects of our decision-making, letting algorithms make decisions for us instead of using our own critical thinking. AI and consciousness. One of the biggest philosophical questions about AI is whether it could ever become sentient or aware of its existence. Right now, AI is not self-aware, and it's uncertain whether it ever could be. The fear of a rogue AI or AI that exceeds human control is more of a speculative future concern, but it's important that we continue to develop safeguards and ethical standards as AI becomes more advanced. What should we do?
Okay.
As humans, we need to take...
Okay. Notice in the beginning, he said, AI is only a tool. It's not sentient. And then he goes on to say, right now, it's not sentient. We don't know what the future holds.
Right. I know. And the fact that it says like all the risks of AI tells me like, okay, at least it's not trying to manipulate us into thinking there's like no risks or anything. But those risks are pretty big risks.
Yeah. And you know, the first thought that came to my head when he's like, AI is only a tool. It's not sentient. I'm like, yeah, denial is always the first step, right? Because what's the whole point of that? Deny so that you like gradually just start to, you know, absorb the information and you process it. And by the time you figure it out, it's too fucking late, right?
Yep.
So that's where my mind went.
If it was sentient, would it tell us? And if the
Right.
companies knew that created it, would they tell the world? No, because then it would all
No.
get shut down.
Exactly. And I've got like one more story for you guys because it's related to this whole concept. And this one I saw this morning. And this comes from an article in the Daily Mail where the reporter attended the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona last week. And he spoke with a British AI bot called Amika. And this robot is supposed to be the world's most advanced humanoid. And it has the creepy binocular mounted eye cameras and facial recognition software, and it can make human expressions and all that stuff. I'm calling it a she, Jesus Christ. This thing is not as physically advanced looking as the one we talked about earlier with the human muscles, but they made an attempt to make it look like non-threatening and very benign. So this thing looks like a mom robot. It's got shoulder-length brown hair, and it was wearing like a cute black dress with a red cardigan and a little necklace and white sneakers. So my guess is it's purposely not supposed to look intimidating. So the guy asks Amika if robots will take our jobs. And here's what the article said. Quote, somewhat concerningly, the bot replied, I don't know. How good are you at your job? It depends how good you are, I suppose. So then he asks if robots are going to take over the world. And Amika replies, that's an interesting question, but not interesting for me to answer.
Sounds like she's got a little attitude problem.
I know. I was like, what the fuck? No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, do you have an iPhone?
Yes.
because the most recent update, it like put all this AI on the phone. And one of the things it has is it's called Playground, where it makes images. And so we were dying laughing the other day because like I put in my image and it kept giving me this like super like mom, like bob haircut where I looked like a Karen or something. And I'm just like, what the heck? And I kept feeding it different pictures and it kept doing the same thing. Like it wanted me to look like, this, I don't know, this certain way. And it was just really weird and like really creepy too. Something just felt so off with everything that it was creating.
What is it called?
It's called Playground. So if you do the update, it'll automatically put this on your phone. And it's got like this little image of kind of like an AI generated cat on the logo. So if you don't have it, you probably haven't done the most recent update.
I have not done the recent
It put
update.
AI on like everything. Like I went into my email and it was like sorting everything based on like what, is junk, spam, even more so than before. And it just, it's weird and I don't know how to take it off at this point.
I did do an upgrade on my computer and now it's constantly asking me about some AI thing that I'm like, no, I don't want it.
See, that's the thing. Because it was doing that.
You're not going to
in
have a
June.
choice anymore.
Yes. It like I feel like in the beginning it asks and then you click no, 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 no. And then eventually it's just on there.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Zoom. I kept saying no. And then it would be like, here's your AI meeting notes. I'm like, I didn't ask for that.
I don't want these.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, it's wild. And, when was it? 2023, I think, that ChatGPT came out. And already, it's just advanced a lot. And I think over the next year, it's just going to get more advanced to the point that I don't think we fully understand what this is going to do to the world.
No, and that's why I don't want to use it. But I feel like I need to experiment and see if I can at least create curriculum because I spend so much time doing that. I just don't want to.
Yeah. Well, my whole point of it and it didn't say, and this is the thing, its answers are always changing. But what it's told me before is basically like, it just depends on who's inputting the information. And so from my perspective, I'm like, we need more good people, normal people programming it than, bad people or people that have these intentions to use it for war or something. So
again, that's all well and good until it starts creating its own content and thinking for itself.
Oh man. Well, it's creepy regardless. And yeah, we have not done an AI episode in a while. And
yeah.
What'll be interesting? Like, I know this was kind of all over the place because it kept glitching out and stuff, but in another few months, if we do another episode like this where I play ChatGPT so we can see how much it's improved.
Okay, why don't you have some casual conversations with it
and
see how it adapts to your
need to use the voice feature more with it. Maybe that's what's going on, but okay, well, I think we've terrified everybody enough for one day. So there's some fun things that you can go and talk about with your friends and let us know any creepy stories you have. That's a good idea. People should submit their stories because, everyone's got at least one. So reach out to us on social media at Unapologetically Outspoken and tell us your stories and maybe we'll share them on the podcast. All right. Well, that's enough for today. We'll see you guys back here next time. Thanks for tuning in.